was early December 1989, and it was just a few months since filming the footage for my video, Don't Say Yes When You Really Mean No, and already hundreds and hundreds of orders were coming in from schools and Just Say No clubs and lots of libraries. And get this, Blockbuster Video purchased 2,000 copies for all their stores 2 weeks before I even started filming the video. And Blockbuster made it a free rental too. To say the cast was excited is an understatement. But here's the thing, hundreds of orders for the video were coming in almost every day, yet I couldn't ship it because I was still editing it. Late December 1989, I finally completed editing the video and I started shipping it out as fast as I could, but I needed help. The stars of the video came to my rescue and helped me fill the orders. Now, although I was a sound tech on dozens and dozens of films and videos, Don't Say Yes When You Really Mean No was the first film I ever made. Creating the story and writing the script, composing the songs, writing the lyrics, casting, directing, editing, it was all new to me. The only part of the project I was experienced with was composing the songs and recording and mixing them, because I had owned recording studios in Ohio and I was a recording engineer in San Diego. So directing what became a 9.5-day video shoot was a new experience for me, but I was excited and up for the challenge. And wow, what an amazing professional cast of super talented kids. How talented? One cast member who had a leading role became one of the top animation voice artists in the world and is also a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter. Any idea who that person is? I'll tell you in a couple minutes, but first, here's the story of how I created the musical's first song, Confused. You might be surprised to learn how it actually had its start in the mid-1960s, some 25 years before it even ended up in the musical. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. In my mid-teens, I played keyboards in a popular club band, and I loved the Beatles. I religiously studied how John and Paul wrote their incredible, magical, musical masterpieces. Their unique songwriting talent was a huge influence on me. And I was especially blown away about how their producer, George Martin, worked his recording studio magic. There's a good reason why he was called the fifth Beatle. Okay, to be honest, I dreamed about writing catchy songs and lyrics like the Beatles. I was 15. I know it's a lofty goal, but it was just as important to me to produce them like George Martin would. So I'd sit at my piano and learn Beatles songs. I'd study them, how they were written, how they were produced and recorded. And then I'd write my own songs like I thought they would. You learn from the best, right? When I was 15, I saw the Beatles. Soon after, I wrote this melody. 15 years later, it's 1980. I'm 30, living in Athens, Ohio, which is where I went to college, Ohio University, and wound up staying there and built Athens' first 8-track recording studio. Then later, a 16-track recording studio. In a 3-year period span, I wrote the music and lyrics for about 80 jingles, and I recorded and produced them like I thought the Beatles and George Martin would. I have to admit, some of my jingles turned out very, very unusual. However, they were catchy jingles, people like them, and they work well for my clients. Right now you're listening to one of my favorite jingles, Mini Giants. Does that melody sound familiar? That one? It's the exact same melody I wrote when I was 15. But now, some 15 years later, I turned it into a jingle. Let's jump ahead about 5 years to January 1989. I need an opening song for my Just Say No musical. You probably know where this is going. Suddenly, a melody I wrote comes back to me. It's perfect for my musical's opening number.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
Don't talk with your
It
mouth
just
full.
goes in one ear and out the other.
It just goes in one ear and
How
out
many
the other.
times do I have to tell you? These are the best years of your life.
These are the best years.
Why don't you grow up?
Why don't you grow
This
up?
is not a social club,
This is
you
not
know.
a social club.
This
This
is
is
not
not
a
a
social
social
club.
club.
You treated like a star. You better start acting like 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 you better
Have a nice day.
It sounds so confusing.
say, not what I do.
Because I told you to.
Because I told you to.
Don't ask me why.
Don't ask me why.
I
Don't
wish
ask
you
me
learned
why.
to think
I
for
wish you
yourself.
learned to think for yourself. To think for yourself.
It sounds so confusing, the things that we are told. It sounds so confusing, the messages that we get. Confusing here, confusing there, confusing everywhere. It sounds so confusing, the things that we are told.
Because I said so. Because you're too young. Because you're too old. Why don't you act your age?
It sounds so confusing, the things that we are told. It sounds so confusing, the messages that we get. It's confusing us, it's confusing you. It's confusing, confusing, confusing everyone. It sounds so confusing, the messages that we get. It sounds so confusing, confuse us, confuse us, confuse us. Don't confuse us anymore.
Whoa! What was this about? If you haven't yet seen the musical, or maybe it's just been so long you don't remember, this is setting up a scene for Jody, who later is so confused about what choice to make that she just can't seem to make up her mind. And, well, she just runs out of time.
What's your choice?
Back when I was 15, there's no way I could have known then how some 25 years later that catchy melody would wind up being heard by so many school children. In fact, since the video's release in December 1989, about 8,000 educational and youth organizations and libraries have purchased it. Booklist, the esteemed review publication of the American Library Association, they reviewed the video and they said it was one of the best titles available, a creative and exuberantly performed musical. I estimate about 8 million school children have seen it, and the video is still available to purchase or rent. And all the songs are now in MP3s that can be downloaded. People tell me how the songs have stayed with them all these years. Each song in the musical has an interesting story about how I created it. This episode told the story of how, during a span of some 25 years, my song, Confused, started out when I was 15 as a melody influenced by the Beatles, then years later weaved its way into a jingle, and finally morphed itself into the opening song in my musical, Don't Say Yes When You Really Mean No. People often wonder about those talking voices in Confused. Here's how I did it. I asked the cast to write down some confusing things they were told while growing up. Phrases like, if you want to be treated like an adult, start acting like one. Do what I say, not what I do. Because I said so. Then I combined their phrases into the mixed messages you hear in the song. Who did those voices? I did. A little cameo performance in my musical. Oh, who was one of those 2 original cast members who went on to international fame? It's Erin Gray Van Osbury. In the musical, she played Candy. During filming, Erin constantly cracked everyone up with her awesome on-camera acting and her off-camera antics as well. Hilarious character voices and dead-on impressions. So, we were filming Erin's close-ups, and it was the day before her 16th birthday. And when we finished filming her scenes,
What am I gonna do?
I whispered to the cameraman to keep filming her.
Okay, Aaron, look right at the camera lens, and please give me your Wizard of Oz.
I wanna go home. I wanna go home. Oh, Annie, Uncle Henry, I'm frightened. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? I'm not a witch at all. I'm just a little girl. It's all right, it's all right. You may all come out and thank her. As mayor of Munchkin City, in the county of the land of Oz, I welcome you most regally. But we've got to verify it legally to see if she is morally, ethically, physically, spiritually, positively, absolutely, undeniably, unreliably dead. As good and that I vouch for her. I've thoroughly examined her, and she's not only merely dead, but she is quite sincerely dead. Who killed my sister? Was it you? I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't mean to kill anybody, honest. I'll get you, my pretty little dog, too. Put him up. I'll get him with both hands. made my back. Get up now. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. You didn't have to hit me. What do you mean I can really go home? Toto. Now come here, click your heels 3 times and repeat after me. There's no place like home. 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 Oh, Annie M, Uncle Henry. Oh, I had an awful dream. And you, oh, you were all in it. And the whole time, I kept telling everyone, I want to go home. I want to go home. And I whined and I whined. And finally they sent me home. And I'll never go any further than my own backyard looking for happiness because if it isn't there, then I never really lost it to begin with.
Happy birthday tomorrow, Aaron. Sweet 16. I'll get a copy of that for you. Happy birthday,
I wonder what we were doing.
I didn't want to tell you in advance. I wanted to.
Erin told me back then her passion was to become a voice character artist, and that's exactly what she did. Today, Erin is known as Grey Delisle, and she is a top sought-after voice artist. You can hear her voice work on literally hundreds and hundreds of animations like Avatar: The Last Airbender, on commercials and TV shows, and she just landed a reoccurring role on The Simpsons. On top of these impressive accomplishments, she's also a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter, actor, and stand-up comic. I'm so proud of Erin, and I'm honored that I got to direct her in her first professional acting role. When I wrote that Valley Girl character, I needed someone who could play it both sweet like candy, pun intended, and at the same time with an authentic inner emotional vulnerability. Now that's hard to do. And Erin nailed it. I'm so confused. However, I'm not confused about the next episode. It's the story behind the second song in Don't Say Yes When You Really Mean No.
I do what I want to do what I always want to do.
I always do what I want. Don't you?